Okay.
Yes.
What is an outlier? Anyone? I mean, plain English. Have you used any time the outlier?
Anything that is different from the normal.
In a class like
Outlier.
everybody is securing marks like 60, 70, something like that. If somebody is securing
From the average, away
90,
from the average.
Mhm.
It doesn't belong to
called
group.
as outlier.
See, if you Google outlier, okay, you will get a definition that a person or a thing situated away or detached from the main body or system. Okay. Okay. Or a person or a thing differing from all other members of a particular group or sect. Clear? So, by that definition, don't you think that there is some isolation, right? Some type of isolation it is referring to? Right? Yes, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Feeling of isolation, right? What does that mean? Let's say if I have a class of people, you know, let's say I'm talking about engineering, right? So let's say now in a class of, let's say, 50 people, okay, now everyone is scoring very less in a particular exam, right, which was actually very tough, correct? Now everyone just passed, few people failed also. Now most of the people, right, 90% of the people, or let's say 99% of the people have scored below 50 in that particular exam, and there is few students, two or three, who scored 100 out of 100. What will you tell these people?
They are outliers for this
Outlier.
exam.
So we will refer it as kind of, they are kind of okay, even though these guys have scored this much, does that mean that the paper was easy?
No.
No.
No, right? That means the behavior of the all of the, I mean, most of the members and these two or three members are completely different, right? So if, let's say, if I have to talk about this class, right, so I'll define based on this 99% and not on this 1%, correct?
Yes.
Right? So
But we need
that
to.
was, yes, that is about theoretically when we speak, okay? But when we talk about graphically, right, graphically, so obviously if you plot the marks of these students will be far separated from the normal group of the students. Yes or no?
Yes.
Every one of you understanding what I'm trying to convey?
Yes, understood.
Okay. Now what I mean to say is, now if I have to talk about this particular class in which most of the students performed less than 50, right? So I'll take consideration of those 99%, correct? And usually I won't consider the rest of 2 3 guys who has performed well, who anyways will perform well in all of the exams, correct? Taking another example, let's say I have to look at a city, right, and I am working in a financial project. I'm working in a banking. I'm working, let's say, in Citibank, right, as a data scientist. Now Citibank is has a customer in any US city, right, very small city or some neighborhood, right? Now what they want to do is they want to conduct a survey. How will you do surveying? Obviously sampling, correct? Now they are conducting a survey, and in survey what they have seen is most of the people are below poverty line. I'm just taking a hypothetical scenario. Most of the people are below poverty line, only few people are like Ambanis and Adanis, you understand? So they are very rich. Now if the, let's say, the population is very less, let's say the population of that small city or downtown is only 500, right? And let's say 400 50 or 490 people are below poverty line or average spending, and rest 10 people are very rich, right? Now if I have to find out the true nature of that city, right? So obviously these would be my outliers.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
Now, point one, very important point, and most of the people miss it. First of all, outliers are the part of your sample if you are taking sample, or population if you are taking population, or in short, is also a part of your data. It is not that it has come from somewhere else, but it is a part of your data. First of all, keep this in mind. It is not that if you are removing it later, we will see that next why we need to remove or something like that. But even if you are removing it or keeping it, it doesn't mean that it is not a part of your data. It is a part of your data. So let's say if you are if you have chosen to remove it, that means you are removing one part of your data. Is that understood?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct?
Mm.
To give you an example, let's say if I'm talking about per capita income, right? And I am saying that what I'll do is I'll simply remove Ambani's, right? Tata's, Birla's, all those people. I can do so. Why? Because that will help me be more realistic towards my approach, or more realistic. That will give a more realistic result. That is for sure. Yes or no? If I have to see per capita income, or let's say I have to see how the people are normal people of India, then if I remove these people, obviously my study is going to be better.
Yes.
But does that mean that these people don't belong to India? No,
No.
they belong to India. Just that for our study, I chose to remove it from our study. Is that understood? Similarly,
Yes.
outlier, right, is also an observation. The only difference is it lies an abnormal distance. Now I'm going to talk about this in a moment. Let's park it for a while. From other values in a random sample from a population, right? In a sense, this definition leaves it up to analysts to decide whether what will be considered abnormal. You understand? In some cases, let's say if you are working on a cancer data set, even you have to consider very far outliers also. Correct? That so the definition of abnormality, correct, changes from data to data. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
By that I mean, let's say if I'm working on very sensitive data, correct? Now if I'm building a model to save people's life, I have to be more accurate. Yes or no?
Yes.
If I leave these people also, they will also die. Yes or no? If I'm building, so I cannot afford to leave this. Let's see, if I'm building cancer, I have to build, for these people also, or for these data points also. Correct? So I cannot afford to leave in that particular case. But let's say if I'm looking at a financial situation, obviously I have to remove it because I want my model to be accurate in most of the cases. Yes or no?
Yes.
So your
Yes.
decision, so there should not be one answer. They will ask you whether you should remove outlier or not. You have to tell it depends. Correct? Is that understood?
Yes.
Mm.
Coming on to the thing that we parked for that time, it says observation that lies an abnormal distance. Now, some of you might be confused. Why, Dhruv, why are you saying distance? What does we mean by distance? Let's say we are talking about money, right? Right? We are talking about money. So someone's bank balance is more than someone else, right? Where is distance in here? Can someone answer? Just a wild guess.
Distance from mean?
See, all of the things that we consider in everyday life, correct? We are building a model, right? We are generalizing it, correct? We are plotting it. So once we plot, whether it is your, cell count in the terms of cancer detection, or whether it is your money, whether it is your number of members, whether it is number of stores, whether it is number of products, X, Y, Z, everything in the world can be plotted. Yes, no?
Yes.
Once we have plotted it in any Cartesian, let's say 2-dimension or 3-dimension, as a human being, we can see only till 3-dimension, yes or no? So I'm just taking that, let's see, I have plotted. Everything becomes similar or dissimilar based on the distance, correct? How will you consider this is an outlier if it is far away? This is the word we use.
Yes.
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 But how will my model understand this problem far away? That means it will just perceive it in the form of distance.
Yes, correct.
So similarity or dissimilarity in a model is perceived in the form of distance metric.
Distance.
And now we will, going ahead, we will study few distance metrics that usually model uses, correct? One is very common. Anyone knows what is that? Euclidean distance we say, or in simple Pythagoras theorem. What is that? Oh, sorry, Z is equal to under root of x square plus y square, where this
That
is
is the hypotenuse.
this is x and this is y. Okay, we will study this, but for now I'm just giving you a reference, right? The point to ponder here is we will be talking in the terms of similarity or dissimilarity in the base of distance, correct? If these 2 points are nearby, that means distance is less.
Correct.
That means statistically these points are similar. Now if that points depicts bank balance, then I'll consider that whoever the bank balance is of this person, and let's say A and B, that means A is equal to B. Statistically equal. I told you statistics is not mathematics, right? So more approximation. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Let's say this is C. So C is not equal to A, is equal to B. You understand? A and B are equal, but C is not equal. Why? Because this distance is far. Now, I have also said that it is up to you to decide what is abnormal and what is not. Let's say you have decided that this is not abnormal. What is that case? It differs on which particular data set you are working. Is it clear? Everything crystal clear?
Yes.
Yes, true.
Why I invested this much time in just the definition of outlier? You should get in depth knowledge this much, so that when they ask about outlier, 90% of the people, you know what answer they give. The moment they see outlier, they will say that I have removed outlier. Now you don't have to give that answer. You have to be a bit mature in answering that question. Based on the problem, we will decide whether to remove outlier or not. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So that was outlier. Okay. Now that is the reason I told you it is up to you if you want to remove the outlier or not. See, now what happens if we choose not to remove the outlier? I'll tell you that also. See, let's say if these 2 outliers are not present and I have removed, and if I have built the model or generalized the model, my model will look like this. Let's say a straight line which will define all these points, correct? Let's say future point will come, we will define it here. Why? Because it belongs to that particular point. Yes, no? Correct?
Yes.
But let's say if we have outliers, our model will tend to move towards this a bit. Yes or no?
Yes.
Correct.
So there is a shift which is not required. Why? Because only a few points, and due to this my model is shifting, right? Correct? Which is just to compensate the error. But let's say these are the outliers, which is anyways not helping me generalize the model. Why? Because these are very farther points. Correct? So these are the people like Ambanis and Adanis who are shifting the, shifting the curve towards themselves so that the per capita income of the India should be more, which it is not. You understand? What I can do is, while doing justice, I may choose to remove it. In this particular case, if I remove it, then my model will be going towards the most of the data points, right? And that will be the generalized format, correct? You understand?
Yes.
Now, what is the cost of that? Let's say if I do that, if I remove the outlier, I'll talk about both the cases. Let's say if I have removed the outlier and not removed the outlier. So let's say if I have removed the outlier, a new data point come. What is the probability of the data points belongs to this 99% category? High probability, right?
Yes.
So my model would be better to
More accurate.
Future point. Probability of being accurate is more, right? Let's see if I have not removed because of some cases, right? So my error, right? Error in the model would be bit more than this. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So you have to answer this also. Let's say if I have chose not to remove because of any reason, because let's say in half of the cases, your client will tell you, no, I don't want you to remove anything from the data. Okay, because I think that is important. Now you cannot remove that outlier. Even if that is an outlier, you cannot remove that data point from study. Now you have to inform your client that if I don't do that, we will have to face some error. What is that error? That it is shifted from the generalized point. Is it clear?
Yes.
I'm giving a very theoretical thing. I know all these things, even the error matrix we are going to study in linear regression, correct? So no need to worry. For now, just take it in the form of error. There we will see what is mean absolute error, what is root mean square error, what is mean square error, and n number of more metrics, error metrics. For now, just consider it as an error. Any confusion till there?
No, Dhruv.
Okay. What are the questions that we answered here in this particular discussion? What is an outlier? How to determine outlier? Oh, sorry. How to determine outlier we will see in the next slide. Okay, let me write it. Okay. Third thing is, there are few in depth we have went, which I cannot write what we discussed. Like, this thing. What is abnormality in distance? Correct? How to talk about similarity, dissimilarity? Correct? What is the thought process goes when we decide whether to remove the outlier or not? Those are the things that we discussed. Correct? That I cannot point it down because that is something as per our discussion. Okay, very secret. I don't know how to write those points. Okay, you understood?
Yes.
Yes.
Now there are a few things very theoretical. What are the causes of outliers? Right? So all of you can study. Read this aloud. And okay, let me go through it. So data entry error. It may be that, let's say you are writing, let's say the rainfall, right? Rainfall, and let's say something, some centimeter, some centimeter, millimeter, something like that. Okay. Now, now what is happening is someone, instead of giving 1 point, let's say they're writing like this 9.00 like this. Okay. And now someone, what they did is they forgot to remove, or let's say till 3 decimal points. Now someone forgot to give this, and they may give like 900 centimeters. So obviously now you have this data. Now you don't know if what is the thing. It may be due to human error, right? If someone was measuring it, it was some human error and they have recorded it, but it's in your data. You cannot do anything, correct? So it is going to be an outlier. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Similarly, it can be measurement error also. Maybe the scale that you are using or the measurement that you did is instrument is basically wrong, correct? Chinese equipment. Okay. some experimental error, right? The way you executed the experiment in which you are trying to find out something, usually in automotive domain, or this, what do you call, mechanical domain. Okay, mechanical domain, there are few formulas or few experiments that you have to do in order to find out something. Yes or no?
Correct.
Correct. So
Correct,
if that experiment is not correctly performed, obviously you will get some error.
Yes.
Yes.
That can also be the cause of outlier.
Hmm.
Okay. Similarly, some intentional. Usually what happens is, this is very important. Usually what happens is, let's say if I have built a model, right? And if I want to see, right? Let's say if I want to see how my method or how my model is performing, if we have the outliers in the data. So we purposely or intentionally put some outlier, dummy outlier, right? And then check how my model performs. Is it clear? Right? So that is intentional,
Yes.
just for testing purpose. Similarly, data processing error, sampling error, right? Some sampling error, that means the sampling that you have done. Let's say if I have done the sampling from India and I have only selected, the Ambanis, yes or no? That means in my sample, my data is not correct representation, right? All of I have chosen all of the outliers only. Yes or no? Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so all of those things, or maybe all of the people I have chosen, most of the people are from this background, only few below poverty line I have chosen. So these would be my outlier. Correct? The poverty line wala guy. Okay, so it can be on the either side, you understand? It is not that far most right. I told you that, let's say if I have to let's say if I am conducting a survey at New York City, okay, most of the people are very rich. Okay, now only few people, 2-3 people out of all the people that I have selected, those are homeless, right? So these would be my outlier and not the rich people. I'm just clearing
Yes.
in case any of you has this confusion. Okay,
Hmm.
now the seventh is very common, that it is natural, right? Novelties in the data, it may happen, like this thing we spoke, right? Ambani is rich, we can't do anything about it. So obviously it is true that his bank balance is obviously at the rightmost side. Similarly, if I see about the IQ, right? If I plot the IQ of all the people, and if I have the IQ of, let's say, Einstein or Newton, right, Edison, Aryabhatta, then that will be on the very right side, and that is natural. It is not an error, no data entry error, no measurement error. They are naturally gifted, talented, right? We can't do anything about it. Understood? So these are the common causes of outlier. They may ask in the interview. Clear? Can we go ahead?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now we will see common methods to determine an outlier. I said what is an outlier, we have seen. But if you have a huge data, how will you get to know, or how would you detect an outlier? So the first is very easy method. Sort the data. If you have very small data, I mean very few outliers or very extreme outliers. Okay. So what you can do is sort the data and see for extreme values. Extreme values can be on the left side also and on the right side also. Right. Those can be your outliers. Correct. Now you can use the plot also. So box plot, scatter plot. Correct. Let's say this is the scatter plot. You see, these are the outliers. Why? Because most of my data point is lying here. Only these few data points are lying this much. And because of this, my model is going like this. So if I remove it, so my model would be like this, and it would be better to have this model. Just in case for this particular problem, I'm saying, again, it depends whether you want to remove it or not. These two methods are clear.
Yes.
Yes.
The data in the what way, like in ascending
Sorry, your
ascending,
voice
that
is
way?
not clear. Can you repeat?
Like you told the common methods to determine outlier, no? Sorting the data in like in how the sorting means.
That means, let's say, I'm talking about very easy methods, right? Let's say if I have like this 4 to 8, 15 minus 99, and let's say 1000, right? Now, if I sort this data, how will it be? Minus 99, right? Then
Yeah,
2,
2,
4,
4,
8,
8.
15, and 1000, right? I can see this is very extreme left and this is very extreme right. Okay.
Yes.
So this is my normal data. So these two are my outliers.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Very easy method. This is not a practical method, but I'm just listing it down. And that is the reason I did not discuss it more. Why? Because this is not what you will use, but just to know that this can also be one of the method. Okay.
Okay.
If you have, sometimes what happens is when you go for an interview, they just want to count the numbers what you are giving. So just in case, if you want to give this answer, you can give. Okay. This is not a chest thumping answer. Obviously, I know that. Okay. Now you know. Okay. Now tell me. So plotting, you understood? Okay, one
Yes.
more point. How would box plot give me whether an outlier is there or not? I think I have discussed it, but still.
Skewness.
Hmm? Hmm.
Skewness if how left negative
Correct.
or positive.
Correct. That means if I have the outlier in the left, my box plot would show me that it is left skewed, or right side outlier, right skewed. Yes or no?
Correct.
Okay. So that is also one of the methods to see. Scatter plot, obviously, see how scatter plot will help is when you plot in scatter plot, you are actually looking at the data points. Yes or no? So if any data point is far, then obviously you get to know that it is far. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So that is very easy. Now the last two methods which are mostly used. Looking at the IQR method. Before that, why do we need to treat outliers? Obviously, we have discussed this, that outlier can impact the result of our analysis and statistical modeling in a drastic way. I said that you will have, okay, that is gone. So you will have errors. Yes or no?
Correct.
Correct. So if you don't want to live with the errors, obviously we'll remove the outlier. But again, there is a trade-off. Based on the data set, based on the problem, I'll choose whether I have to remove the outlier or not. Understood?
Is there any example you can give, like in which case we shouldn't remove, or it is not a good
I
idea?
gave an example, right? Let's say if you are working on any health data set or any data set in which each person is equally, important. Correct? Each data point is equally important.
Okay.
Right? Let's say in the terms of cancer, right? If you want to remove, let's say if I have calculated, the cell, I'm not from that background, but I'll try to give you that example. Let's say if I'm trying to talk about the cell count. Okay, so this is the cell count that most of the people will possess, right? And there are few very extreme, right, here. So if I choose to remove this, that means I'm not studying these people. Understanding my point?
Yes, yes. Got it.
Removing means I'm no longer studying that. Correct? So I have to make a balance. Another way is, what I can do is I can take this away and make another model only for these outliers, and one model just for the points. In that way, I will play safe. Correct? Otherwise, I
Yes.
cannot afford to remove it. Why? Because life of the people are at stake. You understand? Correct?
Not
On the
equal.
other hand, let's say if I am planning a financial, a financial strategy for a particular client, okay, and I am taking this a chance to remove 1% of the outlier. That is making me 99% sure about the results. Yes or no?
Yep.
with a better accuracy. If I keep this point also, then what will happen is, I know that in future, this is the case, most of the client will come from this range, then there will be some error. Again, there is a trade-off, but I am going ahead with this one. So I can remove outliers there. Yes or no?
Correct.
Understood who asked this question? Is it clear now?
Yes, yes, it is clear. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now that was about why we need to treat the outlier. You should know whether you want to do it or not. You should, obviously you will choose, that also we discussed, but if someone asks you why you need to treat the outlier, you have to give the result. This answer, okay? It can impact the analysis, correct? We'll see it more in the term when we will start machine learning, and it will be visible in the terms of error. Okay. Chalo, let's.
Dhruv, one query: what if outliers are? I mean, there are many outliers for a particular data. So we have to treat the outliers in the sense we have to filter them out, right? That's what you're saying. For example, if we consider the financial data kind of stuff.
If you have many outlier, then that is not an outlier. In a class, if many people are performing good, that means it is not an outlier. Yes or no? Let's say if these points are 100 in numbers and you have 80 points here, even bit more far, then obviously these are not outliers. Then that is how your data set is. Outliers is very extreme values and very few values, right?
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
Extreme values, very few. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
And I never said that you have to treat that. Did I say that? After this much discussion, if you speak that is not good. What I said? Repeat what I said. If someone asks you, what will you do with the outlier? What will be your answer? It should not be that you will treat it or remove it. It should be, it depends on the data set. I gave you both the reasons, when you should remove, when you should not remove. You understand?
Yeah, correct.
Yes, you took the example of financial client, but then again, you should not use that sentence. If you use that in a, in an interview, then it is not worth it. You understand? Because you know both the things.
Okay.
You have to answer. See, always remember in data science, no answer is perfect. Perfect as in, sorry, no answer is should be, you don't have to give answer in black and white. There is no correct or incorrect answers. It depends on the data set. Clear?
Yeah. Clear.
Let's go to the first method. Now, statisticians said that a data value will be considered to be an outlier if it is less than this range, that is Q1 minus 1.5 times of IQR, or if it is greater than Q3 plus 1.5 times of IQR. You understand? What is that value? What is, first of all, what is IQR? You all know.
Interquartile range.
What is Q1? You all know.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now I am saying any value to the left of this particular calculation, or to the right, or to greater than this particular calculation. Obviously, this is negative sign. This is positive sign. Why? Because on the left side, you are going below Q1, correct? On the right side, you are going ahead of Q3. So this will be plus. On this side, if you go, it will be minus. Yes or no?
Yes.
Correct. Now this is what you have seen. Now some people will say, why 1.5? See, if you take 1.5, that is one extreme value. If you want to take further, or you want to change that, you can use what? Minus 2 IQR. That will be more far. Yes or no?
Right.
Yes.
It is up to you. Now statisticians have found out that this is the, this is one of the method that I have to use. So we all stick to that. Now all of you know this formula. Please write it down, and you have to solve a question, and you have to find the outlier of the next question. Everyone understood this?
So Dhruv, this is applicable for normal distribution or for any distribution, this formula? This formula is applicable only for normal distribution or for any distribution?
For now, you are considering everything, whatever we are considering, it is for the normal distribution, right? If you have, let's say, constant distribution, then all data will be same. Yes or no? Correct? Then there will be no outliers. Whatever we are studying is mostly lies in the case of normal distribution. Now you will ask me that what if the distribution is not normal, right? Then we have a central limit theorem that we will study next. That helps us to convert any distribution into normal distribution just for study, right? So whatever statistical method we study is applicable, or even all the probability theory that you study, right, in stats for data science is applicable on normal distribution only. And that is the reason we use central limit theorem if we don't know the distribution or if any other distribution we are considering. Okay, I'm saying in most of the cases, not all of the cases. Okay, we will see some discrete distribution also, like binomial distribution or all those things in probability distribution function. For now, just consider it to be a normal distribution. Clear?
Yes.
Again, one more thing. This is also not perfectly normal. The reason is very simple. Why? Because we are talking the terms of outlier. Once you have the outliers in the data, it is but obvious that that is not normally distributed. Yes or no? It is skewed distribution. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. And for that only we are finding the outlier. So find out just solve this question quickly.
Minus 350.
No, did you use this IQR method? It would be looking like obvious, but you have to go through the process just in order to understand.
Tamam, işin gücün böyle politik şeyler konular ya. Bir saatte salonu yapmayacağız. Yani salonu sileceğiz de perdelerini yıkamayacağız.
Please let me know in the chat box once you're done. Okay, how will you answer? Yes, first of all, you will give me Q1, and then you will give me Q3, and then you will give me IQR, right? And this is step 1, obviously. Step 2, step 3, yes, but
Inequality.
Not inequality, but there is, you can say, left margin. I'm just naming it. You can name it, in your own way. So right margin. So left margin is Q1 minus 1.5 times of IQR, right? And right margin is Q3 plus 1.5 times of IQR, right? Now, if I get these two, then in the fourth, I'll decide which all are less than. So, there is going to be one loop. Okay. So I have one number here, one number here. So I'll run the loop throughout my data set, and will just filter out the number which is either less than this or greater than this. Everyone understood what I just now spoke?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone in line with this particular method?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So by that, what is the outlier that you guys got?
The data which is less than -9 and data which is
So this came out
greater
as
than 55.
This came out as minus
-9.
9, and this
-9 and
came out as
55.
55. Greater than 50.
Any data less than this or greater than this. So we have
Yes.
greater than 55. No, we don't
No.
have greater than 55. So on the right hand side, we don't have any outlier. So in the left hand side, we have this outlier. Sorry, not this outlier. Sorry.
-350.
This is the outlier. Okay, this is my left margin. Correct? Understood?
Yes.
What if it is exactly in -9?
Sorry.
What is the data? It is exactly -9. Is it considered as an outlier?
No. So that is the margin. You understand? So this can be from your data set, or this is just a margin. You understand? So anything from the left of it. Okay, you are saying that if my data is -9, right? This is what you.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, you can see in stats. Don't worry about these questions. Okay, you can take it or leave it. It is up to you. Okay, it is up to you, as long as you just tell them that I have taken the boundary as an outlier as well. If you have very less data points, you understand? You understand what I'm saying? If you have very less data point and then you think that I cannot remove it, then obviously, and this is one of your data points, then you can keep it. Otherwise, if you have very much data point and only few are there as an outlier, then you can remove it. It is up to you. It is for you to define what you have taken. Clear?
Yes.
What do I mean is, let's say if I remove, let's say if I remove all, right, and let's say my margin is here, somewhere here, right? If I chose not to remove this, only 1 point is not going to make a big difference. Obviously, there will be a slight difference, but among all these thousands of points, 1 point is not going to make a big difference. But yes, if your data set is very small, right, very small, then you can think of it, right, as a possible threat. Understood?
Yes.
Again, the same concept, it depends, right? You should be very sure about these things. No black and white answer. It depends on the situation. Clear? Anyone has any confusion or want me to calculate this or this or this or this and at last decision? Tell me.
Can you just tell me the last one, the decision? I just missed that bit.
So decision is anything less than -9 in this particular data set, or less than this or greater than 55. So let's look at the points which are less than -9. So okay.
Yeah, got it. I missed that bit.
Yeah. So this is -350. Anything which is less than 55, we don't have, right? So it should be either there or not. If you don't have outlier on the right side, then you can just leave it as it is. Okay. Yeah. Let's see if I have 5-number summary. Okay. So this is my median, right? This is minimum, this is maximum. Obviously, this is Q1, this is Q3. What is my IQR? 36 minus 25, 11, right?
Correct.
Now, if I have to find out the outlier is are the points which are either less than Q1 minus 1.5 times of IQR and greater than Q3 plus 1.5 times of IQR. Okay, both, not or I have used, but it is not the English or. I mean, both on the left as well as on the right, because your outlier, as I said, can be on the either side. Yes or no? So you have to check on the both side. Usually whenever I give the assignment, okay, we'll talk about this after first assignment. Okay, I'm not going that hint. Okay, so that mistake usually people do. Okay, so 8.5 and 52.5, half of the people will just write it as an outlier, right? So this is not an outlier, this is just the margin or your tolerant point. Okay, anything less than this and greater than this are your outlier. So what is the outlier in our case in this data set?
59.
59. Why? Because it is on the right of the right margin.
Right margin.
Also, some of the people confuse it. They just try to see on the left of the right margin and to the right of the left margin. Then you will get all the points. So don't do that. Okay. Mostly, see, here I am considering very less number of points. You will write Python code for this. So what you will do, you will find out Q1, you will find out Q3 the way we did. Then you will find out IQR. We have already done that. Then you will find the left margin, right? Then you will find the right margin. You will store it in some, let's say, left margin LM, right margin RM, right? Now you will make a decision less than left margin or greater than right margin. Then you will store it somewhere. This is what you will do.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not here to teach Python, but still, this is what you will do. Now, what usually people do a mistake is they just do everything correct till this point. While just writing the decision loop, they just miss. They just revert these signs. That is going to cost you so much. Okay, because you cannot see the data. Just plot it and see the data. Why? Because here it is less. In real life, it is going to be thousands and in 10,000s or in lakhs. Correct? Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Coming on to the second method, or you can say the fourth method. First two method, anyways, that was just for your reference, just for the sake of it. This is the second logical method, you can say, Z-score method. First of all, before going through this, let's understand what is Z-score. Okay, there are two parts of it. Here, we will discuss in very brief about Z, and when we will study PDF, that is probability distribution function, then we will study it more. Okay, and in the last class also I told, and I repeat, don't miss that class. That is going to be backbone of everything that you are going to study. That will clear each and everything in your whatever will come next also it will clear. Okay, so half we will do. Today we are going to be a bit theoretical understanding of what is Z-score. Now what happens is, let's say if I'm talking about a distribution, right? Correct? Now let's say what I'm saying is, if I have to talk about this particular point, okay, or let's say this particular point, how will I consider? How will I define this particular point? Can I say that this is X units away from mean? Can I say that?
Yes.
Yes, no. This is one way of telling. Correct? You understand what?
Yes.
Dhruv, could you repeat? I couldn't get it properly.
Okay, so I am saying that, let's see, if I'm talking the terms of, let's say I'm okay, let me. This is a normal distribution.
Okay.
Correct. I'm talking about a particular point. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Here is my mean. If it is a normal distribution, this will be my mean. Yes, no.
Yes, yes.
Now I can talk about this point, that this point A is x units away from the mean. That means this distance is x. That is all what I said. Everyone agrees till here.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Correct? Now instead of just I'm going one level more down. Instead of saying x units away, now I'm just turning this x units into how many number of standard deviation away. You understand what I just said? I said, let's say if in my distribution my mean is, let's say 2, or let's say, sorry, mean is 4, okay, and standard deviation is 2. Clear? Now this x or a is, let's say, what you can say, -4. This point is at -4. What is x here?
2.
Mean minus 4.
Mean -4, 6.
Okay.
Who said 2?
Me.
Very bad. I don't expect this. Okay. So see, this is the distance. So if here is 2, your 0 will lie somewhere around here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct? Now if it is 4 units on the left, 2 units on the right, it will be 6. Correct? Now if I'm defining the distance of A, I can say in 2 ways. The first way is, concentrate here. First way is, A is, 6 units away from mean. Correct? Another way of saying is, A is, tell me, 3 standard deviation away from the mean. And then I can tell that on the left. Both the things are same, yes or no? Yes, no. I'm still referring to point A only. Hello.
Yes.
I'm just referring to point A. First method is in the terms of units, distance units, or second in the terms of standard deviation. Deviation is nothing but spread, measure of spread. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
If the distance is
Yes.
6 and your standard deviation is 2, so what is the number of standard deviation in covering 6? 3 standard deviation? 6 by 2 is 3. Yes or no? See, you have to be bit mature in this. We have already studied a lot about this. I'm again repeating. Either I can write it in the terms of units. That is, let's say if I'm talking about this is distribution of, let's say, a distance metric. Let's say I'm talking about the height, right? So what it will become? So 6, let's say, meters, 6 meters away. This point A is 6 meters away from the mean height. Yes or no? Or I can say that since standard deviation is in meters, right? Mean is also in meters. I can say that A is 3 standard deviation away from the mean.
But Dhruv, we need to mention it is on to the left or right, right?
We will come to that. I have already written that, but we'll come to that. First, tell me this 3 standard deviation, is it clear to everyone or not?
Yes.
Okay, now tell me if this unit was 8, or let's say, just give me one unrealistic number, 11, right? So what you would have said in the first point and in second point?
It's 9 units away from me.
9 units away? X is 11, right?
11. It will be A is 11.
That is, X is nothing but the distance between A and mean, right? So it is directly can be used 11 units away from the mean. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the second point?
That cannot be divided, right? So
Cannot be divided or can be divided, just that it will come in fraction.
yes, then you can say.
And
So what is the, come fast, what is the sentence that you will use?
5.5 is D, right?
5.5 standard deviation away from the mean. Any confusion, anyone?
No.
No.
What is the first point? Arey yaar, sorry. It is minus 13. Okay, now tell me, what is the first point?
19 units from the mean.
Correct. What is the second point? Let's say standard deviation is 3.
So it's like 6.33 from 6.33 standard deviation.
As simple as that. See, I just want to convey that let it be not perfect decimal. Okay, then also it can be written in a way, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Now you will say that why I am telling you to go in this way and why I cannot use this. See, if you see properly, I have to write units. Here I don't have to write units. You understand?
Yes.
But you did not ask me where is that going to help me. The help is, let's say if I am talking about, let's say if I'm talking about my class height, okay, and I have mean is equal to 6, something, some unit, okay. If I write number, that will look unrealistic. So I'm just writing 6 units. Standard deviation is 3 units. Now some other class, okay, some other class which has mean is equal to 8 and standard deviation is equal to, let's say, 3 units again. Now this unit is different from this unit. So would you be able to compare this and this? I mean, sorry, would you be able to compare using first sentence if I talk about this and this?
No.
You
Because
understand
units
what I
are
said?
different. Yeah.
Correct. Let's say if I talk about, I'm giving a very realistic example. Let's say if I talk about, you have to compare maths marks with physics marks. How do you compare? The mean can be different, the standard deviation can be different, even the units. Here, it's not about the units, but what we are going to do, whatever marks I'm considering of a particular person, I'm looking in the terms of mean and standard deviation, not in the terms of units. Is it clear? So if I have to compare these two, so I'll use a reference point in the terms of standard deviation of that particular distribution, while I can compare from other distribution, but that is also going to be in the terms of their standard deviation. You understand? Clear? Yes, no?
Yes, yes.
And precisely, how would I get to know this how many standard deviation away? By Z score formula. So if you see, if you don't have to do that much maths, then what you will do, X tells you about that particular point, minus mu gives you the distance, which is we were telling X, these X minus mu is what we were calling as X, yes or no? And
Yes.
sigma is your
Right.
standard deviation.
Yes.
Z score tells you how many standard deviation away a particular point is from the mean. So let's say if I talk about Z is equal to 3.5, what do you mean by that?
That particular point is 3.5
Units
standard
away.
deviation away
Deviations
from
away.
me.
Great, great. Now in last 5 minutes, what we discussed, and I'm not joking, you can ask, Z score to anyone. They are not going in depth. Why we use that? You understand? I'll give you one more example, right? At the right time. Okay. Maybe in tomorrow's class. Okay. And I'll make you understand what is the use of Z score, right? This is also called standard normal score. So you did not realize, but what you guys did is, if you see Z score, we are just telling 3.53. We are not giving units. So in a way, we have standardized the whole thing.
Yes.
Think about it. Let's say, okay, let's say I don't have that question in front of me, but if I have, I would have told you guys to, okay, tomorrow we will do one question which will clear more about this. Okay. But for now, you understood why we did this?
Yes, Dhruv.
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me, okay, tell me, if I'm talking about a mean, what will be Z score of a mean?
0.
Why? Because if you see, Z score formula is X minus mu upon sigma. Not going into formula. Let's look at our concept which we built. What is the difference of the point from its mean? If we are considering mean, so the difference or the distance from the mean with itself is 0.
Correct.
Yes, no? Not going into the
Yes.
formula. Let's look at our concept. What we said, that we have to consider mean, and we are considering the distance from mean with itself. So what is the difference? 0. And 0 is how many standard deviation away from mean?
0.
0.
0. And that is the reason Z score of mean doesn't matter from which, from which particular, distribution we are talking about, whether we are talking in the terms of my class height distribution, your class height distribution, anyone else's class height distribution, the Z score of mean is always going to be 0. Yes, no? Why? Because the distance from mean with itself or any point with itself is going to be 0. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I get the Z score, now if I have to tell you, see, Z score has some other, use also, but I told you, we are going to, this is just the trailer. Okay. We are going to see that in probability. Okay. Why we use Z score, what is, and we will relate it with the probability. Correct? Now, for now, we are talking about only the outliers. Now, as the way we define the outliers in the terms of IQR, in the terms of Z score, we have said that any, any distribution in which the Z score, see how you calculate the Z score, even if you now, if someone tells you what is the formula of Z score, will you forget?
No.
No.
I never remembered this. I used my concept. What is that concept? Just one line. And what is that line? How many standard deviation away that point is from mean? Yes or no? Now, if I have to find out how many distance away is there, then obviously x minus mu. And if I in the terms of standard deviation, then obviously I have to divide by standard deviation. So that becomes x minus mu by sigma. Clear? Now I'm saying that if I tell you that anything which is less than -3 on the left side or more than +3 on the right side is an outlier. So z score of less than -3 or more than +3 will be my outlier. Now you will say, no, Dhruv, I want to take more further points. You understand? Then what you can do is you can make your own decision and you can use -3.5 z to +3.5 z. Now what is the difference? Again, I'm not telling you here. We will study and you all will know there what is the difference in 3 and 3.5. For now, just consider that you can use anything. Okay. अरे यार मैंने solve भी कर दिया क्या इधर? So okay, just give me one moment. I just want you guys to solve that. Okay. Give me one. Just deleting it so that you guys can solve it. Are you guys able to hear some voice from my side? Hello?
Yes, Dhruv. Yes.
The problem is they are, installing that gas pipeline. I cannot help. I told them that you can do it after 4. They said they are not going to pay if I do after 4. So yeah, I told them. So they will just quickly do and leave. Okay, find out the outlier using z-score method. Using z-score method. And what is z-score method? You will first of all find out z-score of each point. So each point means this is your x, this is your x, this is your x. All these individual points are your x. So in a way, I'm finding what is the z-score. That means how far each point is in the terms of standard deviation. And I am saying in the decision that any point which is more than 3 standard deviation away on the left or 3 standard deviation away on the right. That means -3, z-score of -3 and here +3. Clear? Find out. Acha, one shortcut, guys. So if the points are repeating, obviously you wouldn't, if you have calculated for 2, that means for all the 2 z-score will be same. If you have calculated for 1, for all other ones, the z-score will be same. Why? Because mean would be same, standard deviation would be same, and you have calculated for 1. So for another one also it will be same. So you need not to calculate for the number of times it is repeating. See, obviously the outlier is visible here, but I don't want the answer. I want z-score of 1. Okay. Then I want z-score of 2. Then I want z-score of 3. Okay. Then I want z-score of 15. Only these 4 points are there, 1, 2, 3 and 50. Yes. What is the z-score of 1? First of all, what is the mean? And what is standard deviation?
Mean is 2.66.
2.66. Standard deviation?
Trying to find.
Anyone found out what is standard deviation? Okay, let's not wait. You guys can do it. Okay, so 2.66 and standard deviation would be 3.36. Okay, it would be bit approximated, so don't worry about that much. Okay, now what is z of 1? That means my x is 1. So x minus mu is nothing but my mean upon sigma, which is 3.36. Okay, so I got this value. For 2, this is the value. For 3, this is the value. For 15, this is the value. Correct? That means obviously it is more than 3 on the right side. Any value, z value less than minus 3, I cannot find. So obviously this is going to be my outlier. What is the outlier? It is not 3.67. The outlier is 15. The z score of 15 is 3.67. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Yes.
I told you guys one thing. It is my decision whether I want to go with my left hand margin as -3 and 3. I mean left and right as -3 and 3 respectively, or -3.5 or +3.5, or -4 or +4. We will talk about it when we will see the probability. What is the difference? Okay, just for a hint, the difference lies in the probability or percentage of point that occurs on the extreme left or extreme right side. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I have to ask you, how will you write a function to find out the outlier using z-score? Can someone tell me how will you write? Tell me, guys, what is happening? You have just finished Python, and I also get given tips of how to revise. Huh? No one? See, obviously, first of all, you have the formulas to find out the mean. We have seen that. Similarly, standard deviation. Yes or no?
Yes.
Once you have these things and you have this formula, correct? You can write a function, explicit function, to find out the z-score, though it is internally available. But I'm just saying that even if you don't remember what is that formula, then what you can do is you can write down this function, and then you can pass any number to this and it will return with you the z-score. You can store it there. Okay, and then you can filter it using your own decision, whether you want to take less extreme point, a bit more extreme point, or more. Understood? This should be your strategy. See, these are the questions they will ask you. They will not ask you to write any anything, I mean write any code, but they will ask your approach. At least you can give the approach. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, no, correct.
50% of you are knowing this answer, but why you guys are not giving the answer?
So I thought like in the formula kind of thing we need to provide.
No. See, at least approach. Your thought are not going to be transferred to my mind. How would I know you know? I know because I am meeting you guys, and this is fourth time I'm meeting, fifth time, I'm not sure. So I've spent some time with you guys, so I know the level of you, right? But if you chose not to speak in an interview, obviously we'll answer there. But if you choose not to speak there also, by thinking that what he is trying to, if you have any confusion in the question that they're asking, you may ask, right?
Yes.
Clarify and then answer. Simple as that.
So Dhruv, the numbers which you have given as a data set, that we have to iterate probably the length of the data set, and then we already have mean and standard deviation. Only the in
you
Z-score
are late.
formula, we just have to keep X as the changing value. Rest everything remains the same.
But why you gave this? I mean, why you took this much to answer? It was open for everyone, right? My only point is you have to start keeping that hesitation aside. I know these things are new, but you have to get used to it. I said 3 months means 3 months. I'm not even joking. And I can challenge you, few people from your batch only will get selected. And that the difference is not mostly in the knowledge. The difference is always in the small points that we speak that they will catch, and also the explanation.
Right.
Understood? And I'll make you guys realize this by the end of my class. Okay. Clear till here?
Yeah.
Okay. See, one more thing. In most of the cases, you will use IQR method, which is very simple. But if you know, if you did ask you that, tell me, how do you remove, how can you remove outlier, right? Then you can list down all the 4 things, correct? As silly it may sound like, but you can still say that the first thing is if the data set is very small, right? Few, like few hundred points, then obviously, I can plot it and can see, correct? Sorry, obviously plotting is one. I mean, I can sort it in ascending or descending order, and then I can see, correct? Similarly, plotting you can define, and then IQR and Z-score method. Is it clear? Can we go ahead now?
Yes.
Okay. So that was about individual points that we were discussing, correct? Now we will mostly be talking about the relationship, right?
What is the function for getting the Z-score? Is there anything like that in Python?
Google it, no? Google it. I don't use, usually I try to write functions for that. Okay, so that is the reason I'm failing to recall exactly what is the function, but you can always Google. It is just just a search away. Do it yourself. But for starters, I'll always suggest you to write down on your own. That will enhance your Python skills also, and that will help you. Let's say tomorrow. See, usually I don't remember formulas because I started with R and then I switched to Python, right? Now, if I remember, and tomorrow if I have to learn Golang, okay? So in real life scenario, no one is asking you these things, so you can just Google and find out. Internal functions you need not to remember, but yes, for starters, if you're going for an interview and if you're only showing Python, then it is for you to remember that. Okay, understood this point?
Yeah.
Okay. But see, as long as you are giving them the approach, at least in the interviews that I used to take, or I'm taking, or I have seen, it is fine as long as you know what does you mean by Z-score and how can you do this on your own, correct? You can straightforwardly tell them that I'm failing to recall the exact formula, Python formula, internal formula, that is right. But if you fail to make them realize that you don't know Z-score and you cannot write a formula, just tell them I'm failing to recall, but I can just write in front of you, or I can tell you the approach, how to do that. Is that understood?
Yes.
Okay. Did you Google? Please tell everyone others also what is that formula. Okay, I won't wait. I mean, you can ping later also, or you guys, anyone of you can also, educate the class. Okay. Now coming on to the relationship. So for now, what we are seeing is individual variable, correct? Let's say if I'm talking about height or weight, and then in that particular variable, we were talking about outliers, or if it is, how it is distributed, correct? Left skewed, right skewed, Okay, what is the central tendency, how it is spread out, right? Yes or no? Now what we are going to do is we are looking at the relationship. Now one thing, make it imprinted on your mind that whenever we talk about relationship, it can be determined in multiple forms, and we are going to start with the covariance. Correct? Now if you see, this looks familiar. If I just break it here,
Yes.
so see, in variance what we said, we are measuring the spread of a variable. That is what I said. Covariance, on the other hand, when we talk about two variables, yes, no. So relationship of two variables, when we talk, then it becomes covariance. As the name suggests, cooperation means mutual operations, right? That means when we are talking about cooperation means two persons needs to be involved, right? If you are helping yourself, is that a cooperation?
No.
No.
Variance, we were looking at a single variable, but if we are talking about covariance, there needs to be two variables that needs to be present logically. Yes, no?
Yes.
So I'm just giving you one very important concept. Now you know the difference. Now, if we talk about the relationship, so it tells about the relationship in the terms of positive or negative. We will see how it is there, right? Just remember that. Then we will have correlation, which will talk about, this is nothing but the sign of relation or direction of the relation, whether it is positive or negative. It will talk about the sign or direction like the covariance did, as well as one more point it will depict is the strength of the relation. Correct? Then we will go one level more and we will study regression. So regression will depict the sign, the strength, these two things that we already had, the first thing, the second thing, which we already had here, plus one more thing, and that is how change in one unit of the one variable is changing other variable, per unit change in another variable. That we study in regression. You understand? So now you see the hierarchy.
Yes.
Variance told me about the spread. Covariance, as the name suggests, since it is a variance, it is for one variable. When the covariance comes, two variables come in existence. And whenever two variables come, obviously, if we are talking in the terms of two persons, we are talking about the relationship, right? If change in one variable, in which direction other variable is going? We have already told that variance tells us about the spread of the variable, correct? Now, when we talk about spread of a variable, there is a variable, yes or no?
Yes.
Similarly, after that, when it changes to, see, all these things are different. Variance is different from covariance. Again, correlation is different from covariance, right? And regression is different from correlation. But I'm just saying that we are just leveling up. This is the concept I'm building, right? So that you know what is happening, how these terms came into existence. Clear? What I said, variance told me about the spread of the variable, correct? How the variable is, changing, correct, with respect to itself. Yes, no?
Yes.
But when we talk about covariance, that means I'm telling that there are two variables present, correct? And I'm looking at the change of one variable with respect to another. And when I'm looking at that relationship, I'm just looking at the direction, right? whether if the height is increasing, is the weight also increasing? So mostly it increases. So this is a positive relationship, right? Correct? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now if let's say, what else? Let's see, if I plot the month, okay, so the date 1 to 30th. So as the month increases, the money in your pocket increases or decreases?
Decrease.
Decreases. So that is negative relationship. Very vague example, but still, you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay.
Yes.
I mean, if you see, as the age increases, maybe the chances of probability of people detecting with diabetes or something like that is more, obviously, right? Correct. So that is a positive relationship. Correct. On the other hand, if you see other things, right, wisdom, if you see, right, wisdom is also increasing, right? So those things are there in which we are talking about the relationship of one variable, height, another variable, weight, one variable. Let's say I'm talking about the month or the date. Another variable is my money. Correct. So there are two variables involved. Similarly, in correlation, we are talking about the relationship. So we will obviously have the sign, but it will not only tells us the sign, it will also tells us what is the strength of the relationship. Correct. What is the strength in the relationship? How strongly related two variables are? You understand what I'm trying to say? Similarly, when we talk about regression, in addition to these two, it also talks about per unit change in one variable affecting per unit change in another variable. Clear? Relationship is clear, this point. Okay. Don't look at this formula. Don't look at this formula. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. Now, when you have scatter plot like this is obviously a positive relationship. That means if X is increasing, Y is also increasing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if this is a type of relationship called negative relationship or negative covariance here, in which if X is increasing, Y is decreasing. Correct?
Yes.
Now come to the
correct.
form. Sorry, hello.
Nothing.
Okay.
I said correct.
Okay. Now there is one surprise for you guys. Okay. What is that surprise? Give me some time, I'll explain. So look at the formula. Okay. So I never remember the formula or those things. So let's say I'm talking about the covariance of X and Y. What is the formula? So summation of xi minus x bar, y minus y bar, right? So xi minus x bar, yi minus y bar upon n minus 1. Why n minus 1? We have already discussed, so not going into that detail. Okay. Now let's say if I'm trying to find out the covariance of X with respect to X, what will be the formula? So this will be xi minus x bar, and instead of y, still we have X. So xi minus x bar again. So can I have the square?
Square, yeah.
Right, upon n minus 1. Now can someone go and see the covariance, the variance formula? So you guys will take time. So let me go and show you. Right? Kangya. See here. Is not it same?
Yes.
So whatever I just said, I proved it. Yes or no?
Correct.
And what is that proof point? I said that in covariance, we talk about two variables. Now, if you talk about one variable itself, even the covariance will become variance. Correct?
Yes.
So covariance of X with respect to X is nothing but your variance. You understand? Now, it is worthwhile to say the variance or covariance of X with respect to X is always going to be positive. Yes or no? I mean, if X is increasing, X will also increase.
Correct.
why will someone will listen to the recording and they will think that what I'm talking, but I'm talking from very basic point. If X is increasing, obviously X is also increasing. If this is decreasing, this is also decreasing. This is sure, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the reason variance is always positive. Yes, no?
Yes, correct.
Now you know what is covariance. So we have two variables, X and Y, and we are looking at the relationship. Correct? Now see, looking at the formula, what will happen? This mu X is nothing but X bar, right? Mu Y is nothing but Y bar. Right? So if this value is more than this, then this will be positive. I mean, what I mean to say is if this is positive, so your relationship is positive. If both of them is negative, that means if one is decreasing, another one is also decreasing, then also it is positive only. You understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
If any one of it is negative, then obviously covariance will be negative. So these are the two cases in which your covariance will be negative. That means if I get to negative covariance, that means sign of the relationship is
Negative.
Negative.
Or if I get a positive, that means sign of the relationship is positive. Clear till here? And in Python, we can use covariance, COV function, right? I forget, so I write. So here it was, I think, VAR function, right?
Yes.
See, I have come ahead of the things that I have to keep remember these things. I cannot remember these things. Okay, I have other things to remember. So if you want to remember, so you can remember this and keep it in your mind. Okay, but if someone is like me who tend to forget even if I remember, so you can choose not to remember as long as you know the concept, right?
Correct.
Now going one level up, what I can do is, if you see here, if this is a unit, this is a unit, correct? What will happen? Your covariance will also be a unit.
Yes.
Correct. Now if you want to see the strength measurement should always be unitless, then only you will be able to measure the strength, yes or no?